So on this day in 1952, Elizabeth II was proclaimed Queen of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms following the death of her father, King George VI. But how did this day look like back then? I'm delighted to be joined by someone who has very special memories of this day 70 years ago, Mr. John Girt. Now, John, I believe that you have, to me, a virtually unique story about what you were doing this day 70 years ago. Over to you.
Well, on this day 70 years ago, I was actually in school when the headmaster of the school came and took me out of the lesson. I was quite concerned because obviously being, as it were, yanked out of a lesson, one wonders what on earth have I done. But he quickly told me that I was required in the next door church tower, where I was also a bell ringer. And it appears that I was the nearest individual to the church who was not actually gainfully employed, shall we say, at that time. And I was taken up the tower and asked to toll the tenor bell. That's the deepest note, and the tenor weighs about a ton in that particular case. This was all in Eye in Suffolk and not here in Ipswich, where I am now. I was asked to toll that bell, what is technically known as a hole, pull and stand. And I don't know whether you know, but when a bell actually rings, it rotates a complete circle. When you pull the rope once, you then pull the rope again and it goes back the other way round. That's a hole pull. And stand means that you then stop and wait. And so I had to do this hole, pull and stand for 73 times, a total of the King's years of reign and his age, and there was a pause of 1 minute between each hole, pull and stand. Quite a nerve-wracking task for an individual.
Not only nerve-wracking, John, but what a responsibility. There you were, signalling the tragic news of the loss of the old king, but also a celebration of the emergence of a new queen. Is this generation now getting into this noble art, this brilliant art of bell ringing?
Oh, yes. We've got, where I now ring the bells, we've got 2 or 3 learners learning the art. It's one of those things which you can never know it all. And there are many, many aspects which I won't go into technically, but which provide all sorts of people with interests.
The thing I find intriguing, looking at you at your noble age and talking about youngsters coming into it, the degree to which it's a canon of work. There are traditional chimes and pieces that are always done, or are people beginning to create new chime sequences, new ways of celebrating?
Well, I don't think there are new ways of actually ringing a single bell, but yes, we ring what are known as methods, which are actually mathematical permutations. Sounds terrible, I know, but there are constantly new permutations being formed, invented and rung.
I think it's genuinely intriguing because the musical connection, or the connection between music and mathematics, is one I'm very, very familiar with because my daughter does both of them. But the other thing, final point to you, John, which I think is almost profound, is that traditionally across this country, bell ringing has been to warn us at times of real grave danger, but also to celebrate moments of great national elation. I mean, it is one of the rarest forms of signalling that a people have ever evolved themselves.
Yes, that is so, and great joy as well that such celebrations as weddings and individuals' celebrations are sometimes rung for, but it's not just in this particular country. has taken place in various Commonwealth countries. I mean, my wife and I, she's also a ringer, have rung in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and the United States, and there are plenty of other people who've rung in places like that as well.
Brilliant. I've really enjoyed that, John, and I'm so grateful to you for breaking into your Sunday afternoon to share those extraordinary memories of 70 years ago, but also to talk about the fine art and indeed science of campanology. I've been wanting to say that all morning and afternoon. John Girt, thank you very much indeed, and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you for the privilege of being able to talk about such things. Thank you.
What a lovely, lovely man, John Girt, bell ringer, on the day that King George VI passed away and Her Majesty the Queen began her reign in 1952. And we'll have more royal news later on in the show. Now, we had a brilliant Good Causes